the official TemTeam Cup May edition. Official TemTeam tournament action coming at you here. My name is East, and I'm going to be your host and caster for this matchup between Allie and Mr. Rishi. Rishi and Allie, both competitors in Group B. Allie has an opportunity, if they get 1 point from this match, to qualify for the top 8 of the TemTeam Cup, which will be, of course, happening later on in either, I believe it's May or June. Quite a large tournament we have today. The prize pool is 225 euros with a 310,000 Ansun prize pool as well. We've seen some pretty intense matches over the first couple weeks of the tournament. Allie, I believe, does lead all competitors in total points with a pretty strong record. I don't believe she's actually lost any of the matches she's played in thus far. Rishi had a bit of a slower start, but he is picking it up, putting together the kind of slow, bulky mid-range teams that he likes to play. So Allie will be first invite for the tournament match today. So she'll be on blue. And we're just kind of in a waiting room, waiting for that invite to get sent out. Hope that everyone is having a good day. Thank you, Sheep of Ice, for subscribing. Thank you so much for supporting TemTeam. Of course, with the TemTeam Cup, we should also mention big thank you to Tylo, who has been organizing and running the tournament so far. They also run the fantastic TemTeam, a great resource for your calculation and team building needs. Tem.team, where the TemTeams get TemTeam calculated. And welcome in everyone else who's coming in to take a look here. We've got a very exciting matchup coming up in just a few minutes here. We're going to see if someone can finally manage to handle the fast-paced, high-damage, aggressive teams that Allie's been bringing to these matches. So every week, the players are allowed to lock in new teams, and that means that there are some adjustments. So we will be seeing some different lineups from the two players. I believe Rishi might be the person that I've cast the most. Either Rishi or Sukli are the two players that I've cast the most thus far this tournament. And it's hopefully they are not scouted too heavily by their opponents. And if they are, they can sort of bring new ideas every week to kind of keep things fresh. And also, as this meta is still developing, we'll be able to see some adjustments being made as well. Yeah, so we're just about a couple minutes away from the actual start of their matches. So yeah, both players look like they are ready. So invite will likely go out at 4:30. So or half past wherever you are. 4:30 my time on a Monday. I am technically on my lunch break at work right now, so a very late lunch for Old Man East, so he can get this cast going. Yeah. I think afterwards I will indeed have some lunch. Perhaps maybe a sandwich of some kind with some cranberry juice, because I am a big fan of cranberry juice. I like to cut it with water, though. It's a little bit too sour, just on its own. So, shoutouts to lunch. Very important meal of the day. We do still await the invite. About a minute away now. Invite Watch 2021. All right. I hope everyone's having a good time out there. Let's get my old man stretch in here before we get going. It's going to be a pretty jam-packed week of TemTeam action as well. I believe we have DreamHack starting this week, so for a pro TemTeam watcher such as myself, lots of Timmy Tams to be observed and commented on as well. And the invite is in, so let's get into it here. Allie versus Rishi. And we do see right away that there are some differences in the two teams. Rishi looks to be running, again, they've got that Naga Ragnit combo as well as Kinu Yalar, so a very, I would say, almost typical meta mid-range team coming out of Rishi, with Gyalis being the only team that's really sort of different here. He's run Nidrasil and Tortonite prior on teams like these, but it's going to be Gyalis that sort of the off-tech here today. On Allie's side, we have a much more special attack focused Sparks based aggro team. So we've got the Mix, Amphitheater, and Tolkien making appearances on Allie's team, which they haven't previously during Seppunku. Mimit, also not a super common fixture on Allie's physical aggro teams, but does tend to make it into these Sparks special based teams. So Allie, with first ban, decides to ban out the Nagais, not wanting to go into Deceit Aura and have to play a slower game, while Rishi bans out the Amphitheater, not wanting Allie to get access to Sparks. So the powerful support abilities that both those teams have will not be available. So we are going to have to see more of a matchup based off of good swaps and type chart playing. Tolkien picked first. This is going to be a Tolkien that is going to be relied on pretty heavily to deal with both the Gyalis as well as perhaps the Mushuk or the Volarend as well. It does run into problems against the Ragnit on Rishi's side, but Allie does have quite a few different Tems that don't mind Ragnit quite so much at all. And Rishi decides to respond by going with what is very likely an anaerobic Volarend combined with the Kinu. So when you're playing against these special attack teams, going for those anaerobic Vola buff plays, raid boss plays can be, of course, very powerful. Now we see Mix picked up as well, so Allie able to threaten the Kinu out with crystal damage turn 1, and also perhaps start stacking that damage up on the Volarend as well. Mix also a Tem that generally does pretty well into Mushuk, into Yowler, into Ragnit. Yeah, it just kind of does very well into a lot of the stuff that Rishi has available to him for his backline 3 Tems. You can see Mimit banned out next by Rishi, not wanting the opponent to have ability to take over stuff, and Volfi on the other side taken out. So Hedgen followed by Gyalis plus Yowler, so Rishi not frightened of that mix when it comes to dealing with the Yowler, and Allie follows it up with Drakash and Volfi, and then Mushuk selected last. So Rishi does have quite a few answers at his disposal for Allie's team here, but Allie able to play at a very fast pace still, and can definitely punish any mistakes that are being made here. We get into game 1. Protector active, Eater active, and let's see what the Tamers have in store for us today. So right off the bat here, we can see that Volarend sometimes, even with a Kinu buff, can sometimes take a little while to get going. But Allie not having any physical attackers means that if Vola can start to stack up its buffs, it's going to become a very big problem. Rishi swaps in Yowler, and it will be energy manipulation as Mix trying to play the stamina game with his Volarend already, and Windburst chunking a bit more damage into it as well. Although even that's a very bulky Volarend, not taking very much damage hand fan at all. Energy manipulation does control the stamina. We'll see if this is a sweatband. It is a sweatband Volarend, so sweatband anaerobic Volarend. Forcing Allie into a bit of a difficult spot. We do see Aloe Vera revealed there on the Mix. So Mix will be able to do some pretty good damage into Volarend. also can threaten Yowler with quite a bit of damage here. Be interesting to see what Rishi decides to go for with this Yowler on the board. Is going to be a switch out. Gyalis coming in exchange for Bolarend, where it will retreat to the back. Chamomile comes in, and this is Fiery Heist, which is avoided. Savage Suplex. Damage into the Tulkun, but the Tulkun does survive. Fiery Heist whiffing on the Gyalis as Psy Surge deals very good damage into Yowler. It's now sitting at 52%. And not a great switch into the wind-based move that can come out from Tulkun here. Allie getting some pretty good damage in. This Gyalis with the Chamomile will be a mirroring Gyalis, so that means that it not only is Crystal Bite up to do some damage into the Psy Surge of the mix, threatening it out, but it will also reflect damage dealt back to it, so Tulkun trying to snipe it with Fire Tornado will quickly find itself on the wrong end of a very strong move. Gyalis has to be careful, though. If a C-Bite is not so strong against this mix, it may knock it into Puppet Master, which Rishi's team not super well equipped to handle. But very likely the mix will feel threatened enough to leave here. And it does. So, mix retreating from the battle. It will be a Hedgen coming in, covering well against the Crystal attack. And Yowler leaves at the same time, bringing in Kinu to reinforce this Gyalis, even though it is Chamomile, and we'll lose that buff upon switching out. It is going to be pretty strong here. Fire Tornado coming out from Tulkun. It will be onto the Gyalis, and the Protector buff does mean that Gyalis only taking only getting knocked down to 41. It will, however, use Mirroring and take out the Tulkun in response. So that Tulkun being taken down does mean that the Mushrook is looking like a much stronger win condition for Rishi. However, they've got their own problem to deal with now, as with Hanabi coming in, the Drakash, Synergy Hellfire is turned on for the side of Allie, and that's not a attack that anyone wants to be taking on Rishi's side. Unresisted, as it were. Inu does leave, and it's going to be Yowler coming in. And the Gyalis will stay in. The Synergy Hellfire going off, and it is just enough to KO the Gyalis. Huge damage back. Well, not huge. Decent damage back from Mirroring, but Gyalis going down there. A pretty big turn for Allie, who's able to effectively deal enough damage to this Yowler to put it in a place where it won't be able to move again. Mushrook coming in as well, so Mushrook's attacks do represent a bit of a threat here onto the Hedgen, and especially the Drakash. Uppercut, not something you want to be taking if you're a Earth-type Tem. But with the KO on the Gyalis, Allie looks like they can sort of leverage their mix here as might be necessary. And we do know Hellfire Synergy up on Drakash, so it's going to be going very quickly. And with Harmful Microwaves and Gotta Go Fast, that Mushrook is not going to be feeling so great with the Hellfire, and it will be enough to KO Yowler, and the burn on the Mushrook likely does mean that this uppercut is going to underperform, and yeah, only 44%, sorry, striking into the Drakash. Boulder End returns to the battlefield now. Drakash does have access to Fire Tornado. However, the Volarend standing tall here. But Rishi quickly running out of raid bosses to support with this Kinu. Mushrook on low HP. Volarend standing tall, but Rishi, no Gyalis, no Yowler, and Allie has quite a few Tems to run through here. This Sweatband on Volarend is going to have to do quite a bit of work. Let's see what the Tamers decide to do. We look at the battle log here. This Kinu only really getting a few buffs in here and there. The Volarend looking quite strong with its special defense buffs against Allie's special attackers, but will Rishi be able to withstand the assault? Here comes Fire Tornado, and it will strike into the Volarend. Mushuk being allowed to survive another turn. And it will take that turn to deal damage to the Drakash, and Feather Gatling also taking the Drakash out. But that was some not insignificant damage into Volarend, who now only sitting at 39% with 2 special attack buffs, or 2 special defense buffs, sorry. Means that Hedgen coming in, Hedgen checking the Mashuk, as well as the Kinu swap in, with its harmful microwaves, as well as Hellfire. Be interesting to see what Allie decides to do. Gotta go fast does mean that this Hedgen is going to outspeed pretty much everything on Rishi's side of the board. So she can just continue to spray and pray that damage onto Rishi's remaining board. Shook does swap out, so we will see another Kinu buff coming in here. Kinu does lay that buff onto Volarend. And it is going to be Hellfire, so Allie catching the Kinu on the swap in with this move. It's just not enough, actually. Kinu sticking around. Energy manipulation, again, working on that stamina on Volarend, and the damage is getting quite severe. Feather Gatling knocking the mix close to Puppet Master, but not enough to go below. With the Hedgen now exhausted, the Kinu staring down some crystal spikes will have to make a quick play to maneuver itself out of the way. But is there anything that it can do? The Mushuk in the back can't take the spikes any better. Rishi just looks like he's running out of room to get away from this aggressive team as Wolfie comes in. Portsturt going for the double hit move. Again, very efficiently putting damage into that Volarend. Feather Gatling coming out. That's going to deal respectable damage, 40%, but Rishi just, again, out of runway here as Allie takes game number 1, and with the point from that game number 1, unless my sources in upper management are mistaken, that means that Allie will be our first confirmed member of the TemTeam Cup's top 8. So congratulations to her. Let's see if she can work for some higher seeding here, or if Rishi's able to wrest back a point from this series in game number 2. And we're in right away, so let's get to it. So it looks like Allie did end up making the right decision in the end to ban out the Deceit Aura Nagais instead of the Anaerobic Volarend, as she was able to sort of just, it really just seemed like using Hellfire to just burn through Rishi's defenses before he could get them properly set up. And now for this game number 2, Rishi does not reconsider his first ban. He'll still be banning out the Sparks and the Amphitheater. And Allie likewise running back the Deceit Aura Nagais ban. Yowler picked up first now. Rishi attempting to use the bear here. On Allie's side, she does have access to at least one Mental Tem with Mix. And it will be Tolkien Mix coming out as an opener once more. Rishi hovering the Kinu. This is sort of the tried and true opener of such teams. And yes, it will be Kinu Yowler coming out. Facing down a Tem that can do mental damage with the Mix, but feeling pretty confident that they're going to be able to get Yowler. Rishi's going to be able to get Yowler set up and do some damage. Wolfie banned out second. Allie not opting to ban the anaerobic Volaren, so she obviously feels like she can just do enough damage to wear that Volaren out. This time Rishi going for the ban onto Edgin instead of Mimit, so Allie does have the opportunity to use Mimit should they want. Rishi with the Mushuk, looking for a favorable matchup into those Earth-based Tems, although he does have to watch out for Mix and Tolkien coming out in the early goings here from Allie. Rishi will opt for Ragnit this time as his fourth pick. This and the Volaren to round it out. Allie going with Mimit to end off her draft, and we'll see if Rishi can get a point back from this series. Allie taking game 1, game 2 coming up here. An identical opener for Allie from game 1, as Heater does activate. Protector going off onto Yaller instead of Volaren this time. Rishi does have the opportunity to do some setup here should they want to. And if he does so, that is going to give Allie a turn really to just pump in damage. The only real weakness of Kinu Yaller is the tempo that you give up turn 1, and Allie's going to have to take that tempo and run with it. Let's see if she does. Look at our battle log here. It's a little bit different for Rishi this time around. Ragnit is not a Tem you really want to see heading into Volfiorge or Cash, but does have perfect jab, which lets it do some work in those matchups, but it is mostly here to threaten out Tolkien. As it will retreat, it is going to be Volaren coming in. Energy manipulation, catching the Yaller, not exactly the big damage numbers you'd like to see. Winterburst doing the same, and this Yaller much healthier than most Tems would be after that attack with the help of the Kinu buff. As we saw last game, though, this sets Allie up pretty well for a Fiery Heist. The Fiery Heist not only locking its opponent's item, but also burning for 2 turns. And Rishi's just clearly shown that there's no anti-burn support on this Yaller, so it is going to have to deal that 30% less damage as it strikes back with Comebacker. Rishi goes for the Volaren swap out. They are all in on this Yaller, so here comes Kinu. Protector, giving it that increased defensive capability, and it will be Fiery Heist, so Tolkien applying the burn. Yaller going for Savage Suplex, so the 30% from the burn and 30% from Comebacker canceling each other out. And some pretty impressive damage onto Tolkien. Mix going for the Psy Surge at the +2 special defense, though this Yaller simply does not yield. Allie only access to energy manipulation or crystal spikes now, and it's unclear if that is going to be enough to bring down the Yaller. Inu standing right next to it has a great opportunity to go for a Revitalize here, if Yaller can survive these next 2 attacks. Fire Tornado is active, as is Tornado. So, however you want to Tornado, you can do that. Inu unable to disable the Mix from hitting as well. Hypnosis not affecting mentals, and Tolkien just being a little bit too fast with Tornado likely means that Rishi's Kinu is in a tough spot. Can go for the Revitalize and hope it's enough, or it can go for the Sacrifice to try and help Yaller survive here. Tolkien does leave the battle, so Allie not committing to finishing off this Yaller. Instead, brings in the Drakash. Rishi likewise, out comes Kinu, in comes Mashuk, so it's looking like a Court Sturt here, yes, and it will be that. The trap condition does not remove Rishi's item, and it's Oshidashi coming in. Rishi going for big damage, and while Drakash is able to eat that, it is looking a little worse for wear. But so is this Yaller. Without the Revitalize extended from the Kinu, Yaller is stuck in and is not in a good position to survive the Hellfire coming out here. Allie does not currently have... Only Tulkun is a synergy that can give it the opportunity to swap out. As we see, excellent use of Court Stir here, kind of locking Rishi's board, forcing them to see if they can figure a way out on the Yaller here. As Allie brings it her cash in to trade. For the Strakash. Probably a trade that Rishi's not super happy with given all the buffs that they've invested on this Yaller. Mashuk does outspeed the Drakash, going for uppercut, so Allie not able to get the Hellfire off, and Rishi decides he wants to go out on his own terms with the Yaller, as that Savage Suplex will cause the Yaller to go down. On Allie's side, it will be Psy Surge, but this is going to strike pretty heavily into Mashuk. Doesn't go down. The Aloe Vera adding to the damage, but this Mashuk does live. And now the mix, a little bit of overexertion damage, bringing it just before Puppet Master. Rishi now bringing in Ragnit. And Ragnit's going to be matched up against Volphy here, so the Mashuk just a little bit too slow to get an attack off in front of the Volphy Plague. That does mean that Rishi has access to Ragnit here to really do some damage. It's unclear if the damage is going to be enough, though. Out comes the mix, and in comes the Mimit. So Allie going for double Volphy here, the strategy to hopefully outlast, now that Rishi's two melee attack users are off the board. Ragnit does go for Perfect Jab, though, and that is quite a bit of damage, 30% onto the Mimit, and lowered defensive capabilities as well. That means that Boulder End does sort of loom large here. With reduced HP on Tulkun and Mix, and the reduced defense on the Mimit, but no buffs on the Volaren, so it's going to have to find opportunities to use its toxic attacks here to carry the game forward, and it won't be able to use Toxic Plume to do so because, well, Toxic Plume simply can't hit anything left on Allie's board. And with access to double Dust Vortex, it's looking like a bit of a tough spot for Ragnit. We see what the Tamers do here. Kinu is available in the back. There will be a Mimit swap out. The Mix coming in. Ragnit switches out. And Kinu will start to buff up his Vola. Allie likely looking for the Noxious Bomb to knock into OX here, as Volarend, again, just having its stamina controlled really well by Volphy, as well as the energy manipulation from the Mix. Gonna be Noxious Bomb, but it will fly, and it will fly onto the Mix. So Puppet Master now active on the side of Allie. And Volarend quickly climbing up in terms of buffs. Now sitting strong at +2 special defense. With 90% HP, that's much bulkier than Volarend was previously. It is, however, trapped in, and will have to mind its stamina if it wants to continue attacking. Rishi likely running out of swap options here with only 3 Tems to go. Kinu does not need to buff the defense of Volarend. Swapping Ragnit into a Crystal and Earth attack is not really where you want to be. See what he decides to do. Be another Plague coming out. Again, Volarend having to pay a hefty price to use its stamina. Quartz Dirt in response. Kinu, of course, cannot be trapped. It will take that Quartz Dirt. Boulderend with Noxious Bomb onto the Volphy, and Kinu opting for a Stonewall instead of a Revitalize there, so Boulderend quickly climbing up now, sitting at +4 special defense. Quartz Dirt being used by Mix means it does have access to Crystal Spikes, however. And with Plague available on the Volphy side, interesting to see. Crystal Spikes likely doing so much damage that Mix will die to the OX. Means that she may have to trade if she wants to use Crystal Spikes. And it will be Volphy coming out, Tulkun coming in. And it'll be Mix retreating as well, so Allie opting to play the long game here by going for double Tulkun. Kinu swaps as well, so Rishi, reading the swap out play here, is going to get the Ragnet in. Boulderend resting, so pretty good read here from Rishi, as now he has Ragnet on possibly the best available board that it could be in. Will Allie swap back into the Volphy and predict the attack? What is it that Rishi will opt to do in response? But this Boulderend now looking all of a sudden like a much more healthy threat. +4 special defense, and its HP still not really affected. Volphy's going to come in for the Mimit. And Fire Tornado from the Tulkun will hit. And it's going to hit onto the Boulderend, but not very much damage at all. And Boulderend going for that lower defense. And Ragnet, Charged Iron Filings, is going to take out the Tulkun. So Tulkun no longer available for Allie's side. Volphy does manage to get in, and it is going to be a Tulkun coming in with the Heater Burn. Swapping into Boulderend. Now it is a Vola versus Vola matchup. And this Vola is very likely holding a Doppelganger Brooch. That spells bad news for Rishi, as well, he does have some defensive buffs, and the Stonewall, a likely insurance against this situation. A 50% bonus damage from Feather Gatling could add up. Let's see how much it does here. Not too much. Dust Vortex into Ragnet. Not enough to KO the Ragnet either, and so Rishi will pick up another KO. And Electro Punch into the Mimited Boulderend. Down it goes as well. So a great turn for Rishi, picking up a couple of kills. Ragnet and Boulderend surviving. With only the Mix left over. Let's see. Will it be enough? It is a tough task ahead of this Mix as it goes for the self-spikes. Allie conceding defeat. And well played from Rishi, again, managing to take a situation that was deteriorating and turn it around to his advantage. Good use of the Kinu there. The Stonewall seemed like a less valuable play than Revitalize at the time, but ends up really helping protect the Boulderend from the Doppelganger Brooch. And alright, that is our last game of today for the TemTeam Cup May edition. But we will hope to see everyone back around, starting at 3 a.m. Pacific time, so 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, for Neko Blackie and Wiki Colonel. And in the meantime, my name's East, and I'm going to be signing off for the stream. It was a 1-1. Sorry, just to recap, that was a 1-1 series, and I believe, again, in case I'm mistaken, that point is actually enough to qualify Allie for the top 8 of the TemTeam Cup tournament. But 1-1, congratulations, and GG's to both players. And we will step away and return tomorrow, if you're on the West Coast. And yeah, so again, my name's East, and I'm heading out. So everyone take care, and we'll see you around next time.